Well, today is World AIDS Day, and it's the National World AIDS Day commemoration that's taking place at the Petrus Molemela Stadium up in Bloemfontein. The Health Minister expected to give a keynote address as well. Let's find out about the theme as we head over to eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto in Bloemfontein for us. And weather's looking okay for the commemoration today. What is the theme and what's the plan? Moloko, good morning.
Hello, Gareth. Well, the weather isn't perfectly agreeable, I must say. It is cloudy. It looks like any moment from now it may just rain. And of course, this commemoration is taking place in a stadium. I'm not too sure whether, should it rain, the event would be disrupted or not. However, I must point out that just a short while ago, we received a statement from the presidency indicating that the Deputy President, David Mabuza, who was going to deliver a keynote address here in his capacity as chairperson of the South African National SANEC, he is no longer coming. And the short statement says that he will be attending to other matters as a leader of government business. So we don't know whether that has to do with the developments regarding the report by the panel that was investigating the Phala matter. Nonetheless, we understand that the event is taking place. Gareth, we must point out that as this day started on the 1st of December in 1988, when the ministers of health from across the world met under the auspices of the World Health Organization, and they agreed that henceforth they must meet just to create, or even member countries must create an environment where government should and civil society also show solidarity with people who are living with HIV. And worldwide, we understand, according to the UN AIDS Global AIDS Update 2022, there is an estimated of about 38.4 million people who are living with HIV, and 28.7 of those are on antiretrovirals. South Africa obviously is leading. There's about nearly 8 million people in South Africa who are living with HIV, and only over 5 million of those are on antiretroviral. The rest are not on medication. But let's speak to Foster Mohale. He is the spokesperson for the Department of Health. Mr. Mohale, thank you so much. The development here is that the Deputy President is no longer coming. Is this affecting this important event in any way?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers at home. Yes, today marks the commemoration of the World AIDS Day. Normally, it's the Deputy President of the country, Mr. David Mabuza, who's supposed to be the keynote address. Unfortunately, it's not going to make it, but this does not mean the day is not going to proceed. The Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Phaahla, is going to stand in and deliver the keynote address on behalf of the Deputy President.
The issue of HIV and AIDS in our country is very serious. How has the fight been affected, particularly during the time of COVID? Did it in any way take a backseat?
No, definitely. You remember, especially at the peak of COVID-19, especially during the hard lockdowns, people were unable to go to public spaces. Others, they could not even go to health facilities to get their life-saving treatment. Others could not even go to test and screen for HIV and other health conditions. Unfortunately, that also had an impact, and serious negative impact as far as access to HIV treatment is concerned.
Lastly, Foster, in terms, and I saw this in your budget vote, that you have actually allocated 24 billion rand to fight HIV and AIDS for this financial year, 2022-2023. But the practicality of it on the ground, we do have interventions such as the a pre-exposure prophylaxis known as the PrEP, wherein people who are HIV negative, if they take that particular medication, they reduce drastically their chances of being infected by HIV. On the other side, those who might have been exposed to HIV or having had unprotected sex can, within at least a certain number of hours, get the post-exposure prophylaxis. But do people on the ground know this? Because if we were able to follow this, surely we will make a dent in the fight against HIV, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. We always call upon our people to say we've got different types of HIV treatments, like your PrEP, especially for those who are at risk, like your sex workers and other key populations, but also to those who happen to be involved in unprotected sex, whether voluntary or involuntary. We also call upon to say, please, as soon as you realize that we're involved in unprotected sex and you might be fear that you might be contracted HIV, please rush to our health facility within a few hours or a few days in order to get the PEP, to ensure that if there was any form of transmission of HIV, you will be able to be assisted accordingly.
All right. Foster Mohale, for now, thank you so much for your time. As he said, the proceedings are expected to continue despite the fact that the Deputy President, David Mabuza, is no longer coming here. We know that the Minister of Health, Joe Phatla, along with the Premier of the Free State, Sisi Ntombela, will be here. And of course, it would be important to hear from civil society, organizations that are involved with this fight against HIV on the ground, the people that they interact with. We'll also have to hear from ordinary South Africans in terms of what they think ought to be done to ensure that we reduce the number and no longer become the capital of the world in terms of HIV infections.
Yeah, the numbers, Moloko, staggering. Hearing from experts on the show earlier, 200,000 new infections in our own country every single year is still far too high. Moloko Moloto, appreciate the time. Back to him again a little bit later. eNCA reporter out in Bloemfontein.